Okay, thank you, Bhante.
Bhante, this they talk about conscious and subconscious mind. Is there any mention in Buddhism of subconscious mind?
Not really, but in Mahayana Buddhism, only in Abhidhamma you have the Bhavanga. But that is not in the suttas.
Because a lot of scientific study shows that most of us actually 95% of times are in a subconscious state, where our subconscious mind take control of our actions.
And that is because we are blur ma.
So Bhante, since you were saying that you need a few hours before you are actually spiritually deaf, so what is your view on transplant? You give your organs away. What will be your view on that? Because in Buddhism we encourage that. So, and it has to be done immediately after death. So how do you reconcile that? Bhante?
And you have to figure it out yourself lah.
So because it's a bit, where we
you can't say in Buddhism that we encourage it. We encourage this organ donation because during the Buddha's time there was no such thing ma. It's only something that is new lah.
So we have to think ourselves.
Yeah. But one thing I tell you lah about some real case. A few years ago I went to Singapore to give Dhamma talk, and there was one devotee was showing me around a certain area. He said that area from his flat, from his condominium high up, he said that area used to be a cemetery, and they have cleared the cemetery for development. So in the process of clearing, they dug up the coffins and they exhumed the remains lah. So there's one coffin when they opened up. They found scratch marks on the coffin. That means that person was buried unknowingly still alive. So that person woke up in the grave. Imagine how horrible. You panic, isn't it? You realize when you start feeling all around, you're in a coffin. So you scratch the coffin. Nobody knew, so I had to really die there. That's why our Chinese, we are smart. We keep for 3 days or 5 days or 7 days. It's from experience, ma. Yeah, sometimes they put the corpse in the mortuary. After 2 weeks or so, the person is still alive. You have to be careful, no? You want to record? Mm-hmm.
I think this question is about the moments close to death and after the death. So just now Bhante mentioned that like a few hours or a few days before the person passes away, the Dracula images comes out. Now, if the person looks peaceful, conversely, if the person looks peaceful, can that be sort of an assurance that a good rebirth is going to happen?
Yeah. There's a case of a lady who told me the mother died of cancer. And maybe the tumor burst or something. But when she was dying, the face was like contorted in pain. Then after that, the doctor said she had died. Then the daughter was around. So the daughter said after 1 or 2 hours, when she looked at the mother, the face changed into became a very peaceful, very happy, glowing face. That shows she probably had a good heart and was thinking good thoughts.
See, Bhante, and then it's an observation. I do not know whether how real or how accurate the observation is. but after death, the load of peace is still there. But
The what?
The peaceful loads are still there.
Mm.
But somehow, after about 2 or 3 days, have a sense that the person does not look as peaceful anymore. Is there any implication on that?
2 or 3 days, then the body is cold already, probably. Has no implication.
No implication.
Mm.
One thing I read somewhere, those people who do makeup for people who pass away. But if you ask him, he can tell you the disease will go to heaven or hell, because by pressing his hand on the head, if the head is warm, that means he's rebirth in the heaven plane. If is at the leg is warm, it go to hell. Is it true?
That is more from Tibetan Buddhism. Not. But there's something about this, what do you call it? These undertakers. Sometimes that corpse has become stiffer, and they want to change the clothes and want to do makeup. So they have a trick. They will talk to the corpse. They say, I want to make you beautiful. You cooperate by making your body soft, so that I can change your clothes for you. And suddenly the body becomes soft. And it's true. You know why? Because the ghost is still around. The ghost is around. As long as the body has not decayed, that ghost is attached to that body. My body is attached to that body. So when you speak to that corpse nicely, you can make the body soft. Not because they chant Amitabha or something like that. I tell you, in the Vinaya books, during the Buddha's early days, he did not accept robes from lay people. So the monks, for maybe 20 years, they had to go to the cemetery and pick up the cloth from the corpses. They used to wrap the corpse in the cloth, white cloth, and throw it in the forest. And then as it slowly decays, the animals will come and eat the corpse and all that. So the monks had to go and collect this smelly cloth and wash it again and again and again. So one day, one monk went and took this cloth from a new corpse. The corpse has just died. So he took the cloth, and then the ghost shouted, "Don't take my cloth." I don't know whether he heard or didn't hear. It was not mentioned. He took the cloth and ran. And then the ghost got up and ran after him. He continued running, ran to the monastery, went inside his kuti, opened the door, went inside and slammed the door shut. The corpse, came right up to his kuti and fell down. The monks saw, and the monks reported to the Buddha. So the Buddha called all of them and told them, next time you take the cloth from the corpse, wait until it's decayed. Before it's decayed, don't take. I see, the ghosts are still very attached to that cloth, my cloth. So it's around, for a few days, until the thing really decomposes. And sometimes he's around, he wants you to know, because he's in a difficult situation, he needs help. That's why we Chinese say, on the 7th night, you can hear the ghost coming back. Somebody walking, footsteps, but you see nobody. The door will open by itself, the window will open, or the lights will come on. So next time somebody has passed away, you want to change the dress, want to put makeup, you know what to say. Wait a while, they want to pass you the... 1 minute, let him ask.
Bante, as a lay person to strive to become Sotapanna, right? So, how to know, how to indicate when the time, the journey to become Sotapanna, any indication to know that the lay person is improving to become Sotapanna?
There is lah, but if you keep thinking about when you're going to get Sotapanna, you may not get. The important thing is to do the job, no? Do the job of listening to the suttas and trying to practice what you learn, nah. But the indication is that your character will change, no? You slowly let go of your attachments. You slowly don't chase after worldly pleasures, no? You don't think of going to sightseeing in China, going to Singapore casino, all that. Slowly you give up, no? And then you want to spend all your time listening to the Dhamma, meditating, keeping your precepts, etc. Then your friends will find, hey, this fella becoming very queer. Yeah.
Bhante, just want to ask a few questions. What happened during sudden death? Like you get the accident, suddenly you just die. Do the person conscious or not? In a very sudden. Then second question is...
Wait, one by one. I guess sometimes like accident, like just now I mentioned the man who got shot, he suddenly come out of his body, you know. And then if the body is too badly damaged, and he wouldn't want to go back and suffer. What makes us come back usually is attachment. I've read some books on this people who died between like 10 to 20 minutes. They come out of the body, they can see what's going on, and they have no more pain in the body, and they feel good, and they sometimes it's another being, a being of light comes to them and seems to have a lot of metta. And then they think they want to go off. And sometimes it seems the being also will replay for them their life, their whole life, all the good and the bad that they did, and they remember. And then they want to go off with this being. Suddenly, they remember their close, loved ones crying. And then the being knows that the attachment is still there, and then tell them the time is not right. He will come back again. Then they go back to their body.
Bhante, and actually reading the suttas, some of the arahants actually had very difficult death also. Some. So it is the way you die doesn't indicate the state of mind, or like where you're headed, right? The way you die.
Oh, no, the arahants, some of them, like for example, commit suicide because the body was giving them a lot of pain. And because they had finished their work, the Buddha said, there's no harm, you do whatever you want. And then that was like a permission to commit suicide. Then they commit suicide. Because the Buddha said, as long as you have finished your work, it's harmless. So the pain was before the death. Okay.
I got actually two more. Is it a prerequisite to be a Sotapanna before you, or some people can go to jhana before Sotapanna? Is it like a step-by-step thing?
No, you can...
Or you can enter jhana without having Sotapanna, without even being there?
Jhana is more difficult to attain than Sotapanna. Sotapanna, you have got the good, you need a lot of good blessings to be able to listen to the true Dhamma. And then when you listen to the true Dhamma and you understand, then you become a stream enterer. First path, you should turn to Sotapanna. But if you, for example, the external sect ascetics, they didn't get a chance to listen to the Dhamma, then they strove very hard and they attained the jhanas. After they attain the jhanas, when they listen to the Dhamma, they attain a higher stage. They may attain Sotapanna first, and then after that, they will attain, for example, if they have 1 or 2 or 3 jhanas, they can become a Sakadagamin, a second fruit. And if they have 4 jhanas, for example, once the Buddha, soon after the Buddha was enlightened, he was gathering disciples, and he was looking for those people who had attained 4 jhanas. because people who attain 4 jhanas, they will be the easiest to teach. So the Buddha went to these jatilas, 1000 jatilas, matted hair ascetics, who had wrong view. They prayed to the fire, but they cultivated jhana, and many of them had psychic powers. So the Buddha went to them. The Buddha knew that it was very difficult to teach these people because their ego is so big. Once they have attained psychic powers, many of them thought they are arahants. So the Buddha stayed with them a few weeks and showed psychic power. And over the weeks, the Buddha showed psychic power until they were convinced that the Buddha's psychic power was much greater than them. And they had a lot of respect for the Buddha. For example, one morning, the leader, Kassapa, he invited the Buddha to go to the dining hall for breakfast. So the Buddha said, "You go first, I will see you there." When he reached the dining hall, he saw the Buddha seated there. And the Buddha was holding a flower. And the Buddha offered the flower to him. Then he took the flower and he was surprised. He said, "I never seen such a beautiful flower. Where did you get it from?" The Buddha said, "I went to the Tavatimsa heaven, the heaven of the 33, and brought it down just for you." Then, that was how the Buddha convinced them that the Buddha's psychic power was so great. So after that, when they had faith in the Buddha, then the Buddha told the leader, Kassapa, "You keep thinking you're an arahant, but you're not an arahant. You're not practicing the way to become an arahant." This was like a slap in his face, Everybody respect him as an arahant. Here is the Buddha telling him he's not an arahant. So he, being a wise person, he knew what the Buddha was getting to. So he bowed to the Buddha and asked to be a disciple of the Buddha. Then the Buddha accepted him as a disciple. He shaved off his hair, and in 999 also did the same. After that, the Buddha spoke to them one sutta, the fire discourse, because they prayed to fire. So the Buddha said the whole world is on fire. What fire? The fire of greed, hatred and delusion. And slowly spoke about anatta, non-self. Just listening to one sutta, all of them attain arahant. 1000 attain arahant. So what level you attain depends on how clear your mind is. If you have the 4 jhanas, your mind is completely clear. The Buddha said a person with 4 jhanas, when he contemplates, he wants to know something, he will know. For example, the Buddha wanted to know about his past lives. He just contemplate about his past lives and he knows. But we don't have jhana. If we don't have jhana, we contemplate our past lives, can know or not? Maybe we can dream.
Thank you, Bhante.
Bhante, may I ask just a question? When a person dies, why do we invite monk to go and chant? It means that they will get a peaceful death.
After the person has died?
Usually when the person dies, we invite the monk to go for chanting and all this.
That chanting is mostly for the live people, the people who are alive. The dead person does not need.
So they don't get a peaceful death.
No, before the monks have arrived, he's already dead. How to determine? But there are some people, when they are dying, they are very afraid. So they cannot die. Then you invite monks to do some chanting, and then they feel better, and then they go off faster. But after a person has died, it's better to do dana. Invite some monks to have some food and transfer merit to them. At the same time, the monk can give a Dhamma talk to the family. Yeah.
Bhante, I have 2 questions. First question is actually, if you want to learn for detachment, then for example that we are working on, should we work harder, earn more money and get more, basically higher positions? If we are, for those who are doing business, should they grow the business, or they should just, learn to detach?
Each person is at a different level. So depending on your level, you have to decide yourself whether you are ready to let go or not. If you're not ready to let go, you cannot force yourself to let go. It must come naturally.
Because sometimes in my mind, a bit, not sure, it's like, if we have the ability, right, to do better, then in a way that maybe we can help others, in terms of financial or anything. But at the same time, like according to Buddhism, that we should learn to detach, right? It's a bit like, confused in myself, lah. So actually, in terms from Buddhist point of view, in fact, which one should be the appropriate one?
You have to balance the two, no? You're not ready to let go completely, so you have to balance the two, no?
Then second question is, in fact, for chanting, right, is it helpful for our blessing or for anything, or actually not really for anything? Right?
Actually, during the Buddha's time, there was very little chanting. Nowadays, if you invite a monk to your house for house dana, then after the meal, they will do some chanting as a blessing. But during the Buddha's time, the blessing they gave was not chanting, but a Dhamma talk. They give a short Dhamma talk as a blessing. Nowadays, a lot of things misinterpreted. For example, in Chinese Buddhism, they always talk about Fa Hui. When you mention Fa Hui, they expect the monks and nuns to come and do a lot of chanting. Yeah, but actual Fa Hui is Dhamma session. That means the monks will come and teach Dhamma. Like now we are having a Fa Hui. But we are not having a chanting. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Bhante. To enter this stream entry, is that if you are Sadhanusari or Dhammanusari or Dhamma follower or faith follower, is there a potential that, or rather guaranteed that you actually can enter to Sotapanna?
No, both are called stream enterers. That means they have attained the first path. Yeah. Then definitely by the time they pass, before they pass away, they will attain the fruit, which is a Sotapanna.
So Dhamma, you got Dhamma follower,
both
faith follower.
Both as well. Mm-hmm. The important thing is to become a stream enterer, and that is by listening to the Dhamma. In the Majjhima Nikaya Sutta 43, it is said that there are two conditions for right view. And once you attain right view, you have entered the Aryan Eightfold Path. You have become a stream enterer. And the two conditions are the voice of another teaching you the true Dhamma. And the second condition is focused attention. When you listen to the Dhamma, you must focus your attention so that you understand. So you keep listening and understanding and practicing what you learn. And then that's all that is important.
Thank you, Bhante.